What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journos, Comics, and Pop Culture. I got some comics to show off to you guys today from an awesome comic book shop that I stopped at in Medford, Oregon. I just got back. I spent 8 days on the road, went up to Portland, went through the Oregon coast, came back down, hit up Medford, and I stopped at Rogue City Comics. And I wanted to do a video showing off what I got, of course, but talking about this comic book shop. Now, for those that don't know, this has been 2 years in a row now that I've went up to the Pacific Northwest. Last year, I hit up probably about a dozen comic book shops in Oregon and Washington, all the way up to Seattle. I was planning on doing a video for that trip to show off all the spots that I hit to, but all the files, trying to piece it together, my computer would not allow me to edit it all together. So that video never happened. Maybe one day it still will and I'll put it out. But at least this year, just going to Oregon, I hit up a handful of spots. And I really believe from what I've experienced last year and from the shops that I hit up this year, so far from what I've been to, Roach City Comics is the #1 comic book store in the state of Oregon, and I'm going to tell you guys why. Now, I'm going to pull these comics out while I'm talking about this because it matters. Now, you guys can go online and, of course, search them up, look up pictures. They're right downtown in Medford. It's not a huge shop. It's a smaller shop, but really nice setup. They have a lot of new comics, trades, some toys and collectibles, a lot of good variety of all of that. But then they have an awesome back issue selection. And I love the layout. It's not kind of like a typical shop where either like most of their shop is just full of back issues or it's mostly new stuff and they got like this kind of row of back issues in one section. Their back issues are on these units like throughout the store, and on these units are, they have little stands on top of the units that have maybe some trade paperbacks or some new issues. And even on every unit, on some of them, they had kind of back issues just of whatever, like if you're in letter J through M or something, they had some Justice League comics or Marvel team ups like on top of the units, not like in the box. And it just brought kind of a different kind of aesthetic that I wasn't used to. But it wasn't like, again, some of those shops that you go into and they're just completely all over the place. I actually went to a shop like that in Eugene, Oregon. It was cool. The guy actually gave me a little discount too. I only spent like $5 there. But this guy just had, it was everywhere. It was a mess. It's like half the stuff wasn't priced. Comic books, it was complete dysfunction. This was functional, and all the books still had price tags on them. So the whole environment going into the shop was awesome, and I had fun going into the bins. I went with my youngest son, and he's reading Silver Surfer right now. So he went and found some of the Volume 3 Silver Surfer, the 80s run. Look at these price tags, guys. If you guys can see that. $1. $1 for issue 27. And I'm just going to pull this out real quick because I'm going to show you guys. This isn't some beat up copy. This is a nice, fine. It's got a little color break down there and it's got some rippling that could be pressed out. This is a fine copy right here. And if I gave this a press, it'd probably be, in maybe the very fine range. For $1. Silver Surfer, man. Volume 3. $1. $1. And now I got something to say about this, right? $2. $2 for the Thanos cover, issue 56. And again, these are not like dollar bin beat up issues. Again, this one is even, as is, this is in a very fine right here. For $2, if I pressed it, it'd probably be in the near mint range. These are issues that you can easily see going on eBay for $4 or $5 in the condition they're in. They're easily issues that you can see on Whatnot, at a starting bid of $3 or $4 and maybe even going for higher than that. Um, we all know how things changed since COVID. I'm not going to get into all of that in this video, but one thing that's very rare is seeing decent books. Again, these aren't keys. They aren't like silver, even Bronze Age. You know, they are late copper, early modern age comic books. But these are solid prices that since COVID, it's very hard to walk into a shop and see books priced like this anymore. Everyone is hopping on this train of, oh, well, if it's selling on whatnot for $5 to $10, whatever, I'm going to price it at that. Another thing, now let me show you what I picked up. These are mine. Now, I would have spent a lot more time in there if I had the time, and I also would have spent a lot more money if I had the money. So I had the budget, but check this out. Iron Man issue 112. You see the price tag on that? $2. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Dude, this is a very fine copy. It's got a little bit of a spine roll. It's got a little bit of a blunt on there. Sharp corners. If I press this up, it'd be even better. I mean, as is. This is a very fine minus. For $2, dude, 35-cent Bronze Age Iron Man. You can't find this anywhere. Now, I'm not here to make a point saying, oh yeah, well, this book is worth this much more. Because how we're valuing the valuation of comic books right now, it's a delicate, kind of very nuanced conundrum of a conversation that I do plan on making a video about in the near future. But again, very hard to find a comic book like this for $2 in any back issue, being in any LCS these days, unless it's like completely beat up and falling apart. Again, I mean, you can see people, this can easily go for $5+ in this condition on whatnot. Now, another thing that I really liked about Rogue City was something that A1 Comics, here in Sacramento, has done really well through the years. I haven't actually been into A1 Comics in like over 2 years. It's crazy. I still have a gift card with them, and I still have all my thousands of points with them. But if they had multiple issues of a certain issue, they would price, accordingly. If I picked up this issue in this condition for $2, they may have had maybe more of one in a near mint range for $5 or $6. And I appreciated seeing that, because I remember when I used to go shop at A1, I've always been a collector that wants to collect runs. I'd rather have the comic in budget instead of like having to have it in a near mint. I would always go for the cheaper one as long as it presented well. So to be able to have that option, to be able to pay $2 for a book that still is in solid condition rather than $5 or $6, I'm going to do that. Also, because I could take this and press it up and it'd probably be in the same condition as the $5 or $6 one. So that was really cool too. Look at this. I got an X Factor #1 for $3. Now, again, this ain't no high value book. And I think this one does have, but again, you could press this up. A little bit of waviness to it, but I can probably press this book up and get it to close to a near mint. Yeah. So for $3 for that, I already have a couple issues of those, of course. Marvel Team Up number 39, a more earlier Marvel Team Up for $2. Again, guys, I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna take this out and show you. Look at this. I mean, this is a fine copy, as is. A little dog ear right there. Could pull that out again. Could use a press, get a little bump up. What's next? Another Marvel Team Up 37, $2. Marvel Team Up 17 for $2. Super early Marvel Team Ups. This is a Spider-Man run, guys. It's a Bronze Age Spider-Man run. Obviously, it's not ASM. It's not even spectacular, but Spider-Man, A-list Spider-Man, arguably the most popular superhero ever. $2. And this is a fine condition right here comic that could be pressed. Beautiful. $2, guys. Come on, man. You can't find this these days. Another Iron Man number 116. $2. Hulk. Look at this. This one, Hulk number 200. $4. Let me open this one up. This one's in an old polyethylene bag. Look at this. Definitely, I mean, this one's a little, I mean, you can see some wear, some color, a little bit of color rub and some blending there. The corners are not that sharp, but this is a nice, as is, I would put this at a 5.56. Fine minus to fine with the press. $4 for issue 200. I'm going to save this one for last. Another, look at this, issue number 97 of Iron Man for $2. Telling you guys. Nice. Yeah, nice, fine looking condition. If I press this, it might not get better than a fine plus because of kind of the blending and the color rub up here. And the blending on the corners. But again, $2, guys. $2. This can easily go for $5, $6 in this condition on Whatnot. We know how people do on Whatnot. They're in their emotions. They're bidding from the emotion mind, and the FOMO is real. And this is just all right. Now I found this one, and I'm gonna take this out of the bag before I show it. I paid $4 for this. $4 for this Silver Age book. Now, of course, this one is, you know, in a bit of a lower grade. But look at this. Tales to Astonish number 79. It's got a nice big rip in it. But for $4, I don't care. This page is kind of buckled back there. I mean, again, you know, I've seen books, even in this condition, go for more than $4. But what's really cool about it is I'm still going to press this book. But I'm going to put it in some Mylar, and it presents amazing. You can't even see the rip. But, yeah, that's going in the PC. All of these, I think, are rent fillers that I needed for the PC. Guys, Rogue City Comics. Let me kind of conclude on this note. And I got to talk to the owners, and it was really cool to have a conversation with them and engage kind of. They actually opened up in 2017, pushed through COVID. They're still there, still standing. And one thing I brought up to them was my thoughts on the current market is competitive pricing. And I've talked about this a lot. I think that obviously two things are happening within the comic book collecting world right now, or that has been happening over the last 5 years. One, COVID. COVID changed the game in so many different ways. And then two, and this is a bit of a product from COVID, is the fact that you have the online e-commerce market of comic books that has completely evolved over the last 5 years. Yeah, we've always had eBay. Sure, we've always had, you know, IG post, claim sales and stuff like that. The live sale, the live auction, live sale has changed the game, headed by Whatnot. You know, obviously before Whatnot, when shops closed down, they took to Facebook Live. They took to IG Live. You know, we saw A1 Comics take advantage of that and just like steamrolled, making thousands of dollars in every show. But we also know what happened with the market bubbling up and people just dropping all this money coming out of post-COVID. Of course, you know, the market has taken a huge scale back in most areas. And but one thing that's really a conundrum is the fact that you could still go into these live sales. And like I said, you see people bidding on emotion. And I see people bidding, and I talk about this all the time. I see people bidding on books that, you know, say they put I have my Whatnot up and then I have eBay up, like on my phone or on my laptop or either or. And I see them listening to this book, and first off, they're saying it's this grade and it's really not this grade. They're saying it's a key and it's not a key. They're saying it's rare and it's not. And it's like, okay, whatever. I'm not even paying attention to any of that. I go and find the same book, possibly in a higher grade or even graded, selling for more than maybe even their starting bid. And you got all these people bidding this book up, and it sells for way over what a market value should really be for that book. That's still happening even in a down market. But the conundrum is that you see a lot of comic book shops that are brick and mortar. And I'm not even talking about comic book shops that do the whatnot, that do the live sales or the claim sales online. I'm talking about you walk into a comic book store and you go into their back issue bins and they're pricing these books. They're pricing these books at these prices that aren't even viably a fair market value based on any real supply and demand. But they see these books selling for these prices in live auctions on like whatnot. So are they wrong for pricing these books like this? That's a question. You know, I don't think anyone's necessarily wrong, but it's a fact of, is this a price that you can move your inventory at? Is this a price that you can actually continue to pull in customers? Because we are in a day and age where people not only are bidding and spending money from the emotional state on whatnot and stuff, but it's the convenience of sitting in their home in their pajamas in their bed, not even having to move and go down to the LCS. So what I see Rogue Comics doing, I call it competitive pricing. They are pricing their comics at a price point that I'm going to assume is allowing them to actually still make a large profit margin on the inventory that they're moving, while actually not just thinking about the immediate, oh, well, I can squeeze out a couple of dollars more for this book. They're looking at the long term. They're looking at that residual revenue that's coming in from customers coming in here and seeing a competitive price and saying, well, damn, I just seen these books go for double that on whatnot. Next week, instead of going into that whatnot show, I'm going to take my butt, get dressed, brush my teeth, and I'm going to go down to Rogue City and give them my money and save some money. I might even spend the same amount knowing I can get more bang for my buck. That's what I see Rogue City doing, and it's very rare. And I think more LCSs at this point in time, with the way that the market is, even though they're competing with this online e-commerce live auction, the market is fickle right now. The market's fickle. People still don't have a lot of money to spend, and they want to be able to consciously know and be aware that when they walk into a comic book shop, they're getting an experience that they're not going to necessarily get on a whatnot live sale. Man, if Rogue City, if I live close to Rogue City, I'd be back there next payday and I'd be spending more money. So that's why I really appreciated this comic book shop, guys. And this is why I have been, and again, it's the totality of their inventory. There's something for everyone there. They have pull lists. They have all the new releases, trade paperbacks, other collectibles, pops, all that stuff that you could think of. And they have an amazing back issue selection. They got big key books that I saw on the wall. This is a shop that I wish I had in my backyard. And again, out of all the shops that I've been to in Oregon, this one is number one on my list. So guys, go check them out. Rogue City Comics. That's the video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Be well, and until next time.